Stop right there. Put that bread down, you thief. Get out of my store.
The security alarm screamed through Morrison's bakery. 16-year-old Daniel's hand froze on the door handle, a warm loaf of bread pressed against his chest. Behind him, a voice cut through the chaos. "Don't move, kid." His 7-year-old sister Maya hadn't eaten in 2 days. Daniel's heart hammered against his ribs. The bread felt like fire in his hands. Mr. Morrison, the baker, stood 5 feet away, phone already at his ear. "Police? Yeah, I've got a thief." Daniel's legs trembled. Run. Every instinct screamed it. But his backpack held 2 more loaves he'd managed to grab. Maya's face flashed in his mind. Hollow cheeks, sunken eyes. That terrible silence when hunger becomes too painful for words. "Please," Daniel whispered. "My sister. Save it for the cops." The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Daniel's father had been dead for 3 years. Cancer. His mother lasted 18 months after that. Depression, the doctors said. But Daniel knew the truth. She died of a broken heart. Footsteps. Heavy boots. 2 officers pushed through the door. "That him?" Officer Crawford asked, hand resting on his belt. Mr. Morrison nodded. "Caught him red-handed. 3rd time this month someone's hit me. I'm done being Mr. Nice Guy." But this wasn't just any theft. And Mr. Morrison had no idea who was watching. Across the street, behind the tinted windows of a black Mercedes, sat Victor Ashford, billionaire, real estate mogul, the man who owned half the town, including the building Morrison's bakery rented. His driver, James, glanced in the rearview mirror. "Sir, your meeting." "Wait." Victor watched the scene unfold. The boy's face, that expression, he'd seen it before, 35 years ago, in a different mirror, when he was the one stealing food to survive. Officer Crawford grabbed Daniel's arm. The boy didn't resist, didn't fight, just held that bread like it was made of gold. "How old are you, son?" Crawford asked. 16. "Parents." The word hung in the air like smoke. "Dead." Officer Reyes, the younger one, shifted uncomfortably. "Who takes care of you?" "I take care of my sister." Daniel's voice cracked. "She's 7. She's home alone right now. She hasn't eaten since yesterday morning. Please, I'll work it off. I'll do anything. Just let me take her this food." Mr. Morrison's face hardened. "That's what they all say. Sob stories. Meanwhile, I'm losing money every week. You think I don't have bills?" Victor Ashford opened his car door. The bells above the bakery door chimed. Everyone turned. Victor Ashford walked like he owned the room, because technically he did. 6 feet tall, silver hair, suit worth more than most people's cars. The officers recognized him immediately. Everyone in town knew Victor Ashford. "Gentlemen." His voice was calm, measured. "What's the situation?" Officer Crawford straightened. "Mr. Ashford, just a theft. We've got it handled." Victor's eyes locked on Daniel. The boy stared back. Not with fear, but with something worse. Resignation, like he'd already accepted his fate. "How much?" Victor asked. "Excuse me?" Mr. Morrison blinked. "How much did he steal?" 3 loaves. About $12. Victor pulled out his wallet. Crisp $100 bills. He placed 5 on the counter. "There. $500. That should cover it. And next month's inventory concerns." Mr. Morrison's jaw dropped. "Mr. Ashford, I can't." "You can." Victor's tone left no room for argument. "Officers, this matter is resolved. The boy's leaving with me." Officer Reyes frowned. "Sir, with all due respect, there are procedures." "And with all due respect, officer, I'm not asking." Victor's gaze could cut steel. "I'm taking responsibility for him. If there's paperwork, send it to my attorney. David Chun at Ashford and Associates. You know the address." But Daniel wasn't grateful. He was angry. "I don't need your charity." Daniel's voice shook as they sat in the Mercedes. The bread sat on his lap, the only thing that mattered. Victor didn't respond immediately. He nodded to James, and the car pulled away from the curb. "Where's your sister?" Victor asked. "Riverside Apartments. Unit 34. "Why?" "Because we're going there." Daniel's hands clenched around the bread. "Listen, I appreciate what you did back there, but Maya and I don't need some rich guy playing hero. We've been fine on our own." "Fine?" Victor's eyebrow raised. "You're stealing bread. I'm surviving. There's a difference between surviving and living." The words hit Daniel like a slap. His throat tightened. "You don't know anything about us." Victor was quiet for a long moment. Then, "When I was 15, I stole a can of soup from a corner store. Got caught. Spent 3 days in juvie. No one came for me. No billionaire. No savior. Just concrete walls and the knowledge that the world didn't care if I lived or died." Daniel's anger faltered. "So what? You got rich and now you feel guilty?" "No." Victor's voice hardened. "I got rich and swore I'd never let another kid feel that alone." The car stopped in front of a crumbling apartment building. But the real shock was waiting inside. Unit 34 was a single room. Peeling wallpaper. A hot plate that didn't work. 2 mattresses on the floor. And in the corner, wrapped in a thin blanket, was Maya. She looked up when the door opened. Her face, God, her face. Too thin. Eyes too big. But when she saw Daniel, she smiled. "Danny!" Daniel dropped to his knees, pulling her into his arms. "I got food, Maya. Real food. Fresh bread." Her small hands grabbed at the loaf like it might disappear. Daniel tore off a piece, watched her eat. Tears streamed down his face. Victor stood in the doorway, silent. His chest ached with a pain he hadn't felt in decades. Maya noticed him. "Who's that?" "Just someone who helped," Daniel said quietly. Victor stepped inside. The room was freezing. No heat. He noticed the disconnection notice on the wall. "Electric bill. $287 past due." "How long have you been here?" Victor asked. 8 months, Daniel said. "Since foster care tried to separate us. I aged out of the system at 16, but Maya's too young. They wanted to put her in a different home. So we ran." "You've been hiding." "I've been protecting her." Daniel's voice turned fierce. "She's all I have. And I'm all she has. No one's taking her from me." Victor nodded slowly. "What if I told you there's another way?" "There isn't." "What if there is?" Daniel wanted to believe him, but hope was the cruelest thing in the world. They sat on the floor, Daniel, Maya, and a billionaire, eating bread, in the dim light of a dying apartment. "I have a proposition," Victor said. "Not charity. An opportunity." Daniel's eyes narrowed. "What kind of opportunity?" "I own a property. 10 acres outside town. Currently vacant. Big house. Used to be a community center before budget cuts shut it down." Victor paused. "It needs a caretaker. Someone to maintain it. Keep it from falling apart." "I don't know anything about maintaining a house." "You'll learn. I'll have my property manager train you. In exchange, you and Maya live there. Rent-free. Utilities covered. There's a stipend, $2,000 a month for expenses." Daniel's breath caught. "Why would you?" "Because I'm not done." Victor leaned forward. "Maya goes to school. Properly enrolled. No more hiding. And you finish high school. I've already made calls. Riverside High will accept you back. Evening classes if you need them. And what do you get out of this?" Daniel's voice trembled with suspicion. Victor's expression softened. "Peace of mind. The knowledge that maybe, just maybe, I can save one kid from the hell I went through." Maya tugged on Daniel's sleeve. "Danny, can we? Please." But Daniel's pride was a wall built from years of disappointment. The word fell like a stone. Maya's face crumpled. "But Danny." "Maya, we don't take handouts." Daniel stood, pacing the tiny room. "You think this is real? You think rich people just give things away? There's always a catch." Victor remained seated, calm. "What catch do you imagine?" "I don't know yet, but there is one. There always is." Daniel's voice rose. "First it's a house. Then it's strings. Then it's control. Then someone decides Maya's better off somewhere else. Someone decides I'm not good enough, not responsible enough, and they take her. Daniel! No! His shout echoed off the walls. We've survived this long on our own. We don't need you. Victor stood slowly. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a business card, placed it on the mattress. When you're ready to stop surviving and start living, call me. The offer stands. No strings, no tricks, just a chance. He walked to the door. Maya's voice, small and broken. Please don't be mad at Danny. He's just scared. Victor turned, looked at this 7-year-old girl who understood more than she should. I know, sweetheart, and that's okay. He looked at Daniel. Fear is what kept me alive on the streets, but it's also what almost killed me. Think about it. The door closed. Daniel was left with his pride, his sister, and a business card that felt heavier than it should. 3 days later, Maya collapsed. Daniel was at the soup kitchen washing dishes for meal vouchers. His phone, an old flip phone he'd bought for $20, rang. Is this Daniel Martinez? Yeah. Who's this? Riverside General Hospital. Your sister was brought in by a neighbor. Severe malnutrition. Dehydration. She's asking for you. The world tilted. Daniel ran. 6 blocks. Lungs burning. Vision blurring with tears. The hospital was cold. White. Sterile. Maya looked tiny in the bed. For in her arm. Danny. Her voice was barely a whisper. I'm here. I'm here. Baby. He grabbed her hand. The doctor, Dr. Sarachun, pulled him aside. Your sister is severely malnourished. This isn't acute. This is chronic. How long has she been underfed? Daniel couldn't speak. Mr. Martinez, I need to know. Are you her guardian? The question he'd been running from for 8 months. I'm her brother. Legal guardian? Silence. Dr. Chen's expression shifted. Not unkind, but firm. I'm required to call Child Protective Services. Your sister needs consistent care, nutrition, medical supervision. No. Daniel's voice broke. Please, don't take her. I can do better. I swear I can do better. This isn't about better. This is about her survival. And in that moment, Daniel's pride shattered. Daniel sat in the hospital hallway. Fluorescent lights, plastic chairs, the sound of his own breathing too loud in his ears. He pulled out the business card. Victor Ashford. Cell phone number handwritten on the back. His thumb hovered over the buttons. Pride told him to stop. Pride told him he could fix this alone. Pride had been lying to him for 8 months. He dialed. 2 rings. Victor Ashford. It's Daniel. Daniel Martinez. A pause. Daniel. How's Maya? She's in the hospital. Malnutrition. They're gonna call CPS. They're going to take her. His voice cracked. I can't lose her. Please, if your offer's still good. Please. Where are you? Riverside General. I'll be there in 15 minutes. Victor Ashford had been waiting for this call, and he'd already prepared for every obstacle they'd face. Scene 10. The system. CPS arrived before Victor did. Ms. Patricia Hartwell. 40-something. Kind eyes but hard jaw. She'd seen too much to be naive. Daniel Martinez? He stood. Yes, ma'am. I need to speak with you about Maya's living situation. I know it looks bad. It doesn't look bad. It is bad. She pulled out a tablet. No legal guardianship. No stable housing. No consistent income. Your sister is 7 years old and hospitalized for malnutrition. I was doing my best. Your best isn't enough. The words weren't cruel. Just true. And that's not your fault. You're 16. You shouldn't be in this position. But Maya deserves stability. She deserves to be with family. Ms. Hartwell's expression softened. I know you love her, but love isn't enough. She needs me. Daniel's voice turned desperate. Please, don't put her in the system. You know what happens to kids in the system. And you know what happens to kids who starve. The truth was a knife. Then Victor Ashford walked through the door like a force of nature. Ms. Hartwell. Victor extended his hand. Victor Ashford. I'm here on behalf of Daniel and Maya Martinez. Patricia's eyebrows rose. Mr. Ashford. I didn't expect. This is a CPS matter. I understand. And I'm here to provide a solution. Victor pulled out a folder. Thick. Official. I've taken the liberty of consulting with family court attorneys. I'm proposing a legal guardianship arrangement where I serve as temporary guardian, with Daniel as co-guardian once he turns 18 and completes certain requirements. Patricia flipped through the documents. Mr. Ashford, with respect, the state doesn't just hand children to billionaires. I'm not asking you to hand her to me. I'm asking you to consider an alternative to foster care. A home, stable income, educational support, medical care, all documented here. And what's your connection to these children? Victor met her eyes. I was them. 35 years ago. No one helped me. No one cared. I survived. But Maya shouldn't have to just survive. Daniel watched this unfold. This man, this stranger, fighting for them. Patricia studied the documents. Her expression was unreadable. This is highly irregular. So is a 16-year-old boy successfully caring for his sister for 8 months alone. These children are survivors. They just need support. Patricia looked at Daniel. Is this what you want? Daniel thought about pride. About Maya's face. About the choice between his ego and her life. Yes, please. But the decision wasn't theirs to make alone. 3 weeks later, they stood in family court. Maya had been released from the hospital after 5 days. She'd gained 3 pounds. Color had returned to her cheeks. She sat between Daniel and Victor, small hand gripping her brother's. Judge Margaret Reynolds reviewed the case file. 60 years old. Silver hair. Eyes that had seen every kind of family tragedy. Mr. Ashford, she began. Your proposal is unconventional. Yes, Your Honor. You want temporary guardianship of a child you met 3 weeks ago. Yes. Why? Victor stood. Your Honor, I could give you 100 practical reasons. Financial stability, educational opportunities, medical care. But the truth is simpler. When I was 15, I was arrested for stealing food. No one came for me. I spent 3 days in juvenile detention, and when I got out, I had 2 choices. Give up or fight. I fought. I clawed my way out of poverty. Built an empire. But every day, I remember that 15-year-old kid who thought he was worthless. His voice grew stronger. Daniel reminds me that survival isn't enough. These children have been surviving. I'm offering them a chance to thrive. Not because I'm a saint, but because someone should have done this for me. Judge Reynolds turned to Daniel. Mr. Martinez, what do you want? Daniel stood. His hands shook. I want my sister to eat every day without me having to steal. I want her to go to school without being afraid someone will find out we're alone. I want her to be a kid, not a survivor. His voice broke. And I want to be her brother, not her parent, not her guardian, just her brother. The courtroom was silent. Judge Reynolds looked at Maya. Sweetheart, do you understand what's happening? Maya nodded. Mr. Victor is helping us. And Danny can still be my brother. How do you feel about that? I like it. Mr. Victor bought me coloring books. And he doesn't yell. And he said I can have my own room with a bed that doesn't touch the floor. A tear rolled down Judge Reynolds' face. She wiped it quickly. This court recognizes that the ideal situation would be for these children to remain with biological family. However, given that no other family exists, and given Mr. Martinez's age and circumstances, I find that the proposed guardianship serves the best interest of the child. Daniel's knees nearly buckled. Temporary guardianship is granted to Victor Ashford, with the following conditions. Mr. Martinez maintains residency in the home. Maya Martinez receives regular medical checkups. Both children attend school consistently. And this court will review the arrangement in 6 months. The gavel fell. Maya jumped into Daniel's arms. We get to stay together. Victor's shoulders relaxed for the first time in weeks. Patricia Hartwell approached them in the hallway. Mr. Ashford, You surprised me. Good surprised. Shocked surprised. In 20 years with CPS, I've never seen anyone fight this hard for kids that aren't theirs. She paused. Don't make me regret supporting this. I won't. She looked at Daniel. You have a good heart. Don't lose it. But the real test was just beginning. The house was overwhelming. 10 acres. For bedrooms. A kitchen bigger than their entire apartment had been. Maya ran through it like it was Disneyland. Her laughter echoing off walls that had been silent too long. This is really ours? Daniel asked, standing in the doorway. Victor smiled. Really yours. I don't know how to thank you. Don't thank me. Prove me right. Graduate. Take care of your sister. Build a life worth living. Over the next 6 months, Daniel did exactly that. He returned to Riverside High. Evening classes. His teachers were shocked by his determination. Homework done in the margins of his property maintenance work. Essays written after Maya went to bed. Maya thrived. She enrolled in 2nd grade. Made friends. Her teacher, Ms. Lopez, called it remarkable. This child who'd been starving now bursting with energy and joy. Victor visited twice a week. Never intrusive, just present. He taught Daniel about property management, investments, education. But more importantly, he taught him that accepting help wasn't weakness. One evening, 6 months after the court ruling, Daniel found Victor on the porch. Can I ask you something? Daniel sat beside him. Anything. Why us? Really. You could help anyone. You could fund 100 charities. Why 2 random kids? Victor was quiet for a long time. You want the honest answer? Always. Because when I saw you in that bakery, holding that bread like it was everything, I saw myself, and I realized I'd spent 35 years running from that scared kid. Building walls, making money, telling myself I'd made it. But I hadn't. Not really. I was still alone, still scared, still surviving instead of living. His voice grew thick. Helping you and Maya, it wasn't charity. It was healing. You gave me a purpose beyond profit, a reason to wake up. You reminded me that wealth means nothing if you die alone with no one to miss you. Daniel understood. Finally. Completely. 2 years later, Daniel walked across the stage at Riverside High School. Cap and gown. Diploma in hand. Maya screamed his name from the audience, standing on her chair. Victor sat beside her, clapping louder than anyone. After the ceremony, Daniel found Victor in the parking lot. We did it, Daniel said. No, you did it. I just opened the door. You walked through. Daniel pulled out an envelope. I've been accepted to State University. Full scholarship. Business degree. Victor's eyes widened. Daniel, that's incredible. I want to do what you do. Help kids like Maya and me. Not because I feel guilty, but because I know what it's like. And I know what a difference one person can make. Victor pulled him into a hug. The first one. In 2 years. 2 men who'd been boys who'd been survivors. I'm proud of you, Victor whispered. I couldn't have done it without you. Yes, you could have. It just would have been harder. And you deserved easier. But the story doesn't end here. Because life never stops testing you. 3 years into college, Daniel got a call. Victor had collapsed. Heart attack. Rushed to surgery. Daniel left campus immediately. Drove 4 hours. Maya, now 12, met him at the hospital. They sat in the waiting room. Silent. Terrified. What if he doesn't make it? Maya whispered. Don't think like that. But what if? Danny, he saved us. We never got to save him. The words hit Daniel like a freight train. She was right. For 5 years they'd taken. Not intentionally. Not selfishly. But they'd taken. Victor's money. His time. His home. His heart. What had they given back? The surgeon emerged. Family of Victor Ashford? They stood together. He's stable. The surgery went well. But his heart is weak. He needs to reduce stress. No more 16-hour workdays. No more high-pressure negotiations. His lifestyle has to change, or the next one will kill him. Daniel and Maya were allowed in after an hour. Victor looked small in the hospital bed. Tubes. Monitors. This man who'd seemed invincible was suddenly human. "Hey," Victor said weakly. "No crying. I'm not dead yet." Maya sobbed anyway, grabbing his hand. Daniel stood back, thinking, planning. "Victor," he said finally, "when you get out of here, things change. The doctor already lectured me. I'm not done. You took us in, gave us everything. Now it's our turn. You're moving into the house. Permanently. No more apartment in the city. No more 12-hour days. You're retiring." Victor laughed, then winced. "Daniel, I'm 56. I'm not retiring. Fine. Semi-retiring. You can consult, advise. But the day-to-day? Done. I'm taking over Ashford Properties. You're 21 years old. And you trusted me with your home when I was 16 and a thief. I think I can handle commercial real estate." Victor stared at this young man, this boy he'd saved, who was now saving him. Daniel wasn't kidding. Over the next year, he balanced college and apprenticing under Victor, learning the business, meeting investors, understanding contracts. It was brutal, exhausting, but he thrived. Maya helped in her own way. At 12, she started a YouTube channel called Kids Helping Kids. She told their story carefully with Victor and Daniel's permission. The channel exploded. Millions of views. Donations poured in. Maya created a foundation, Second Chances. Its mission: connecting homeless youth with mentors and resources. Victor watched from the sidelines, amazed. "I saved 2 kids," he said one evening, "and they're changing the world." Daniel shook his head. "You didn't save us. You gave us a chance. We saved ourselves, just like you did." On Victor's 58th birthday, Daniel handed him an envelope. "What's this?" "Open it." Inside, papers transferring 40% ownership of Ashford Properties to Daniel. And a letter. Victor read aloud, his voice shaking. "You taught me that wealth isn't money. It's purpose. It's connection. It's waking up knowing you matter to someone. You gave me and Maya a life. Now let us give you a family. Because you're not our guardian. You're not our benefactor. You're our dad. And we love you." Daniel and Maya. Victor Ashford, billionaire, mogul, the man who owned half the town, broke down crying. 5 years later, Daniel stood in Morrison's bakery. The same bakery. The same bells above the door. Mr. Morrison was older now. Grayer. He looked up from the register. "Can I help?" He stopped. Recognition dawned. "You." "Me," Daniel confirmed. "The kid who stole bread." Morrison tensed. "What do you want?" "To buy your bakery." Silence. "Excuse me." Daniel pulled out a check. Already written. $500,000. "This is 3 times market value. I want to buy the building and the business. You can stay on as head baker if you want. Paid salary. Benefits. Or you can retire. Your choice." Morrison stared at the check. "Why?" "Because this is where my life changed. This is where someone saw me at my lowest and gave me a chance. I want to do the same. For other kids. Other families. This bakery is going to become a training program. We'll hire at-risk youth. Teach them skills. Pay them fair wages. And anyone who can't afford to buy food, they eat free." Morrison's hands shook. "That kid. The one I called the cops on. He's offering me $500,000? That kid learned that everyone deserves a second chance. Even the people who don't give them." Morrison took the check. Tears in his eyes. "I'm sorry. For that day. For not listening." "Don't be sorry. Be part of the solution." Morrison shook his hand. And the bakery that started everything became the place where hundreds more stories would begin. 3 years later, Daniel married his college sweetheart, Priya. She was a social worker who'd grown up in foster care. They understood each other's scars. Victor walked Maya down the aisle as a bridesmaid. She was 18 now, heading to college on a full scholarship to study social work. At the reception, Victor gave a speech. "When I met Daniel and Maya, I thought I was saving them. I was wrong. They saved me, taught me that money is worthless if you're empty inside. that legacy isn't what you build, but who you help build themselves. Daniel, Maya, you're my proudest accomplishment. Not my buildings or my wealth. You. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. Daniel stood, raised his glass. To second chances. To the people who give them. And to the courage it takes to accept them. The crowd erupted in applause. But the story still wasn't over. 10 years after that day in the bakery, Daniel and Priya had twins. A boy and a girl. They named them Marcus and Elena. Victor was 70 by then, mostly retired. Spent his days at the house, reading to Maya's kids. She'd had 2 of her own. One afternoon, sitting on the porch they'd sat on so many times before, Victor asked Daniel, "Do you ever regret it? That day you got caught." Daniel thought about it. Really thought. No. If I hadn't gotten caught, Maya and I might have survived. But we wouldn't have lived. We wouldn't have thrived. We wouldn't have found you. Sometimes the worst moments lead to the best outcomes. Victor smiled. You sound like me. I learned from the best. They sat in comfortable silence. 2 men. 2 generations. 1 unbreakable bond. Daniel. Yeah. Thank you. For letting me be part of your family. Daniel's throat tightened. Thank you for choosing us. And in that moment, surrounded by laughter from inside the house, they both understood the truth. The camera would pull back slowly, show the house, the gardens Maya had planted, the kids playing, Priya and Maya cooking together, Victor reading a bedtime story. Daniel would look directly at the screen. People think the rich save the poor, that money solves everything. But that's not what this story is about. Victor didn't save us with his wealth. He saved us by seeing us, by caring when it was easier not to, by taking a risk on 2 kids the world had forgotten. His voice would grow stronger. But here's what people miss. We saved him too. He was drowning in success but starving for purpose. We gave him that connection, family, meaning. He'd pause, let it sink in. So if you take anything from this story, take this: wealth isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in the lives you touch, the hands you hold when they're reaching for help, the second chances you give when everyone else has given up. A final shot. Daniel, Priya, Maya, Victor, and all the kids, together, laughing, whole. Sometimes the greatest fortune isn't what you have. It's who you become, and who you help along the way.